For today's lesson, you are going to need your art sketchbook, something to color with, a pencil, and a black marker, crayon, or colored pencil. Once you have opened up your sketchbook, you need to turn it so that the spiral is at the bottom. We are going to be working with symmetry today, so we are going to be folding our paper in half so that we create that line of symmetry, so that one side will be the same as the other side. Take the top of your paper, line it up with that spiral at the bottom, and fold your paper in half. It is okay if your paper is not perfectly folded in half. As long as you have that line, that will help with our lesson. I'm going to trace over that line of symmetry, just so that I can see it. It will make it a little bit easier when we start drawing. We are going to create a city reflection today. So I'm going to start by drawing some buildings. Think of very simple, basic geometric shapes to draw your buildings. So squares, rectangles, half circles, triangles. I'm going to start with a square for my building and then add a triangle for the top to create that roof. So very basic. I'm going to go ahead and add another line up, create a rectangle for another building. I want these buildings to be nice and big. If these buildings are really small and really detailed, the next step is going to be hard when we trace. So think simple, think big. The symmetry in this project is what we want to stand out and what makes this piece look awesome in the end. Now that my buildings are drawn, I'm going to add in the doors and the windows. Again, think very simple, very basic. We don't want really small shapes. You're going to be tracing these again from the back of your paper. So if you make things that are really small and really detailed, it's going to be hard for you to trace. Now it's time for us to create that reflection. We are going to fold our paper back in half, folding that top of the page down to the spiral, and then I'm going to spin it around. It's hard for you to see on the video, but I can see my lines through the back of my paper. So I have my line folded, or I have my paper folded on my line of symmetry. Now I'm going to go through and trace all of the lines that I can see. You really want to try to trace right on top of the line. When you do that, it's going to push the pencil that you already drew on the other side onto your other paper and leave a line behind that you can see. If you get off of your line on this side, you don't need to erase it. You can just go ahead and redraw. You'll see I make a few mistakes like that where I have to redraw over my line or next to the line I already drew. And that's okay. You don't need to erase anything on this side. This is going to be the back of your paper. This will not be seen in your final piece of art. Once I'm done tracing, I'm going to open up my paper, and you will see that on that line of symmetry, you have now created a second set of buildings that looks the same as the first set that you drew. Now I'm going to trace over my pencil lines with a black Sharpie. You can use a crayon, marker, or colored pencil. I can see my lines well enough that even if there are parts that are missing, I can fill that in. And it's okay if you don't trace it perfectly. I got off of my lines a few times, and when you're done with this and it's all colored in and put together, you will never notice those little changes or little differences between your two sets of buildings. So I'm going to go ahead and trace all of my lines, trace the new lines that I made in black, and then trace the old lines that I made in black. So the whole entire thing is outlined. Once I got done outlining everything, I realized that I forgot my sun. So I'm going to go ahead and go back through that process again. I'm going to draw a sun, and then I'm going to flip my paper over on that line of symmetry. And then I'm actually only going to trace the circle because I'm going to use warm colors and cool colors to color in my city. So the top city is going to be like a daytime city, and the bottom city is going to be a nighttime city. So I'm just going to trace the circle and make that the moon. Once I'm done outlining, I'm going to take my eraser and erase all of the pencil lines that are left behind. I'm going to use those warm colors. If you remember back to the beginning of the school year, we did our fall trees where we use those warm colors that remind us of the sun, of being hot, of being happy, those reds, oranges, and yellows. I'm going to use red, orange, and yellow to color in the top section, my daytime section of my city. You don't have to do day and night if you don't want to. You can color this in how you would like. But if you want to do the day and night, you are more than welcome to do that also. Now that I'm done with the warm colored section of my picture, I'm going to color in the cool colored section. So this is going to be kind of my nighttime version. So I'm going to use those greens, blues, and purples. Again, if you remember back to the beginning of the school year, we talked about those cool colors, the colors that remind us of water, grass, of being cold or being calm. So those greens, blues, and purples. I am going to leave my sky white. If you want to color in the background a different color or color it in all one color, you are more than welcome to do that. That is up to you. Once you are finished with your picture, make sure that you take a picture of that and upload it to Artsonia so that your art teacher can see it.